Hello, everybody. Hello, bright lights. You're so welcome to another episode of Waking Up to Your True Potential. My name is Laura Renankowski, and I'm an international life and relationship coach. And I love having this series. I love, interviewing people from all over the world who have so much information and tips, for you to live a better, healthier life. So I'm very excited to have my guest today. My guest today is Nadia Aburdene, and Nadia is an InterNations consul. So InterNations is an expat group, and we met in this expat group. And InterNations is in 166 countries, 420 cities, and has 3 million members worldwide. So it's an amazing group, and for me personally, during the lockdown, InterNations was a lifesaver, because we couldn't go out and do anything. So through InterNations, I have met amazing people all over the world, and it's just been an incredible experience. And I've given several talks there myself as well. And going back to Nadia, so Nadia has a really interesting background. She was born in Kuwait, and she has Palestinian family, and she's lived most of her life in London. So you're very welcome, Nadia. It's so nice to see you today.
Thank you for having me, Laura. It's very nice to see you too.
Yeah, I mean it was amazing how we met a year ago on InterNations and these events. I gave a talk in your group about relationships, and one thing that I think is so nice and that I've admired in you is that in InterNations, they have, there's ambassadors and consuls, and basically they organize all kinds of events. And I would say you're one of the most active one of the most active consuls in InterNations, and you specifically had a really big interest in helping people with relationships, because you organized many events around relationships. You had all kinds of speakers talking about relationships, and then you also organized many events where single people could meet each other, right? And you were really passionate about these single events. I remember how you even asked people to write introductions of themselves, like on the wall of the event. And many people were, they were shy and they didn't want to do it, and you were like, come on, people, be brave. you know tell us about yourself. And I mean, I thought that was great, because you were trying to get people out of their comfort zones, right? In a way, right? And the thing is that yeah, many times it's great to be in a comfort zone, but the magic happens outside of the comfort zone. And many times, if you're a little shy, if you're a little reserved, it's a little hard, right, to come out of your shell and come out of your comfort zone. So I like the way that you were helping people, try to, get out of their comfort zone, right? And yeah, and to be brave. What inspired you? What inspired you to do these events in InterNations?
Well, I guess you're probably going to be surprised to hear this, but I was initially quite a shy person. I found it difficult to meet other people. And I guess with experience and time, I learned you've got to be open and put yourself out there. And that's the only way you can meet people, make friends, create relationships, both friendships and those of a romantic nature. But if you're gonna be, stick to yourself, quiet, standing in the corner, it's gonna minimize your chances of meeting others, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And yes, that really surprises me to hear that you used to be shy, Nadia. I can't imagine you being shy. So were you shy? Were you shy like in your younger years?
No, I'll tell you. So I guess no, naturally I've always been a bit of an extrovert. But so you know this. I was married for 17 years, the marriage ended in divorce. And I guess uh, initially, I guess it kind of lowered my self-esteem. In a way, I was mistaken, but I thought I'd failed in life. And maybe maybe not so much want to see people or talk to people, because I felt, yeah, that, but I did eventually realize that what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger, as they say. We learn from our experiences, they shape us, and we become who we are. And I'm happy with who I am. So
Yeah,
I,
yeah, definitely. That's a really good point that you bring up, that many times when a relationship or a marriage doesn't work and doesn't last, we can feel so ashamed about it, right? Like we feel like, like it was a failure, or I lost so much time with this person. But it's not like that. And I think that it's really important to look at what kind of story you're telling yourself, right? About the relationship and about those experiences, because I think that it's really important to, to be grateful for those experiences. And I truly believe that every person comes into our life for a reason, right? We learn so much in relationships. We learn so much about ourselves, about the other person, and about relationships in general, right? So I don't think that you can ever look at any relationship as a failure. And it doesn't matter how long the relationship lasted, because we learn from everything. We learn from all experiences. And I think that it's also really important to forgive ourselves, right? Because if we walk around with feelings of shame, right? Like what you mentioned, that you felt ashamed and you were embarrassed to meet people, and you were thinking, oh, what are they going to think of me? Like my marriage didn't work and I'm a failure and all of this. So all of those stories are so incredibly powerful, right? So the key is to turn that story around, and that's exactly what you did, right? You forgave yourself, right? And you realized that, oh yeah, just because my marriage didn't work doesn't mean that I'm a failure, right? Doesn't mean that I'm a failure, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life and I can't find love again, right? So I think that those are really, really important keys, especially for somebody that's going through a breakup, a breakup or a divorce now, right? Like, don't think of it as a failure. Like, the relationship was not a failure, and you are definitely not a failure. You need to learn from the experiences that you had in that relationship or in that marriage, and then you move on. Those experiences, like you said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Those experiences make you stronger, and those experiences, give you the tools to have a better relationship in the future, right? So I think that those are really, really important points that you raised, Nadia. And what would you say? You mentioned that you were married for 17 years, and then you got divorced. What would you say were the major lessons, that you learned from your marriage and from the divorce?
um, so first of all, I think this was something we said earlier. I was always hoping that the things I didn't like would go away, or maybe some traits in my spouse would change. But after 17 years, it was the same pattern over and over and over again. And 17 years is too long to wait for some. So I think you should be realistic. You said to me, Laura, some people can change, and that is true. But you should also be realistic, I guess, in the time that you give them to change. If you want to give someone a couple of months, 6 months, a year, but when years and years go by, I guess
Yeah.
that's a sign they're not change.
Yeah, of course. And,
Um,
and yeah, what I also said is that people will only change if they want to change themselves, right? They're not going to change if you want them to change, right? That's the key.
abs-
That's the key.
abs-
You can never change somebody else. You can only change yourself, and another person will only change if they want to change, right? They're not going to change for you. Yeah.
No, absolutely. But I think, when it is a marriage of 17 years, quite often things that happened I didn't like, I was promised they wouldn't happen again, or told there'll be a change in the future. But, the first time it wasn't true, the second time, the third time. And then eventually you realize it's never, it's
Yeah.
clear it's not. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I would say. So that was one thing. Um, And also, you know, you should have the, don't always make excuses for the other person. If they hurt your feelings, if you're unhappy, see that this is another thing probably. I used to always, if if my feelings were hurt, or if I did something, or if my spouse did something I didn't like, a lot of times I would make excuses. I'd be like, well, maybe it was my fault, maybe he's had a bad day. But when it's repeated, goes on repeatedly, not just a one-off, it's not your fault. You're entitled to feel hurt. If you're hurt, you're hurt, and you shouldn't put up with it. That's what I would say. If you're not happy, if repeatedly things are happening that not making you happy, you shouldn't put up with it. You shouldn't blame yourself. Even you know, you're unhappy, you need to change that situation or walk away, as once you told me.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, definitely. I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I think it's also really important to, to like state that your happiness is your responsibility always, right? It's not your spouse's responsibility or your parents or your children. Your happiness is your responsibility, right? Nobody else's, right? So when you have that inner happiness within yourself, then you can share that happiness with somebody else, right? Because I think that many times one mistake that people make is that they look for the other person to make them happy, right? And the thing is that if you give your happiness away to somebody else, right? Like if it's the other person's responsibility to make you happy, and then if they walk away, then what happens? Your happiness goes away with them. That's why your happiness is always your responsibility, always, you know. And I think that that's a really really important point, and I think that it's one of the points that I think is the hardest one to understand in a way, like, what do you mean? But the other person's supposed to make me happy. It's like, no, like, you need to make yourself happy, right? So
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I mean, I would give even more specific advice. If you find that things that you enjoy doing or things you like, you're giving up for your spouse because you're thinking, oh, I don't need to continue doing, I don't know, I play tennis once a week, but you know what, I don't need that anymore because I'm gonna be happy with my spouse. Big mistake.
yeah,
You need to keep doing things because
yeah.
you just said it. If they walk away, you're not gonna have anything left.
Exactly, exactly. And one thing that I've always said as well with relationships is that the strongest relationships are when, two strong and empowered people are together. And of course, you're going to do things together, but it's also very important to do things apart as well, right? Because of course, you're still your own person, right? Like, in the relationship. And I think that it's very important to lose yourself in a relationship, right? So the important thing is, it's like, yeah, of course you're a part of that relationship, but your life, your whole life shouldn't revolve around that relationship or that person. Like, it's important to have your own interests as well, right? So
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And you're
yeah.
going to put too much stress on the other person if that's everything revolves around them, you know?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's actually a very good relationship coach. Her name is Esther Perel, and she talks about how before, like these days, we expect our partner to be everything to us, right? We expect our partner to be, our best friend, our lover, the parents, and the psychologist, the everything to us, right? Whereas before, it was, it took a village, right? Before, before, like, living in villages, or even, having, different kinds of friends, it's like you don't expect one person to be everything to you, right? And I think
Mhm.
that that's a mistake that happens these days, right? We expect our partner to be everything to us, right? And as you mentioned, it puts way too much pressure on the other person, right? It puts way too much pressure on the other person, because nobody can be, Superman or Superwoman, right? Like, we're all human. We all have our, good points and our bad points. and yeah, we're not these perfect beings, right? Like, yeah. So I think that that's a really good point. That we expect our partners to be everything to us, and it's way too much pressure, and it's not realistic. And I think that that's one of the reasons that many relationships don't work and many marriages don't work, right?
Mhm.
We expect too much. We expect too much from our partners, and
Mhm.
of course these are things that we learn, right? These are things that we learn, in our relationships, right? And in our marriages. So yeah. So you did, it's good that now you're at a point where you've realized, that, just because your marriage didn't last doesn't mean that it was a failure, and it doesn't mean that you're a failure, right? So it's good that you were able to turn that story around, right? And move on from it, right? And find that inner joy and that happiness within yourself, right? So, and then what would you say would be your three self-care top tips now, right? Because it's so important for all of us. We all need to take care of ourselves, right? Because if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else is going to do it, right? So everything starts with you. So what would be your three self-care top tips?
Okay, well, first of all, I think I was like I said, initially after my marriage ended, I don't want to really encounter people. But then, as time passed and I started to recover, I started to socialize, go out, meet people, and that really helped me be happier. I love meeting people. I love socializing, going out, being busy, doing different activities. And yeah, and I think most people do. I think most people do. Another one I would say is occasionally treat yourself within reason. Don't go into debt. I don't want anyone to do that.
Don't go too crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if but I think you should treat yourself occasionally. So as I don't know if this happens with people who are not parents, but maybe sometimes when you're a parent, you're continuously thinking about the future and you're thinking, I don't want to spend and I want to save all the money because I want to pay my kids college and this and that and the other. And I think where you've got to strike a balance. Of course, you've got to do some saving and take care of your kids, but you can't do it at the expense of yourself, your kids. When you seeing a happy parent also matters to your kids, and just
Definitely.
like say,
Yeah.
and just like you treat your kids occasionally with an ice cream, whatever it is, you should treat yourself. Whether it's eating at your favorite restaurant once a month or buying a nice dress occasionally. Yeah, I think you should treat yourself. That's definitely what I decided to do because I wanted to enjoy my life and I guess and then finally basically I focused on doing and I mentioned a lot of things that made me happy. I guess a lot of times when we're in a relationship or a marriage, we're sometimes focused on the partner, the kids, other things, and making other people happy and doing things for other people. But it's, you gotta save yourself before you save the other person.
Yeah.
If you're gonna drown,
Yeah,
it's
you
not
have to
gonna
put the mask on first, right? In the
yeah,
plane. Yeah.
exactly. But obviously, within reason. I don't want to, but yeah. So I think, and I hope I've struck a reasonable balance. Of course, my kids still matter, savings still matter, but I just a little bit treat myself more, and I think that helps making everyone happy. We all deserve a treat, regardless of.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you, Nadia. I completely believe with treating yourself. I mean, yeah, I definitely treat myself. Yeah, I think it's really really important. Yeah, to be good to yourself, right? And to treat yourself, with things, that uplift you and things that make you happy, right? And it could be so different for different people, right? Like that, because we all have, different things, right? Different things that we like. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I said, for example, I said, And because this is my personality, I enjoyed going out and meeting people. For other people, it could be going skiing, or it could be reading a book, it could be gardening,
Yeah.
depends
There's
what you're interested in.
exactly, there's so many different things, right? There's so many different things that bring joy and happiness to people, right? So that's why it's about, it's about following your own joy, right? Follow
Yeah,
your joy. Like I love that, it's
yeah,
like follow whatever brings you joy and happiness, and it's different for every person, right? So it's like,
absolutely.
yeah, so follow that, right? And that will make a huge difference in your life, right? Because the better you feel about yourself in general, the higher your energy and your frequency will be. And when you're, putting out positive energy into the world, then that's the kind of energy that comes back to you. It's amazing. Like right now in my life, the amount of synchronicities and the amount of things that I'm manifesting in my life right now is just wow. Like, yeah. And the thing is that, I mean, I've done a lot of work on myself, and I have been through a lot myself, as well. But as you said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So now I'm in an incredible state right now, and I'm so grateful for it, and I'm thankful for it all the time. And I think gratitude is a huge thing, right? When you have an attitude of gratitude, it makes a huge difference. If everybody focused on love and gratitude, if you focus on love and gratitude the whole time, I guarantee you your whole life will change, and for the better, of course.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. You just said love and gratitude. It's the
Love and
difference
gratitude. Yeah.
between, it's between seeing the glass half full or half empty. And
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. And yeah. And
it's
whatever you focus on will grow, right? So if
mhm.
you focus on loss, and if you're alone, and if you feel like sad and lonely and all of that, then that you're going to attract more of that into your life, right? You're going to be even more sad or more lonely, right? But then if you focus on abundance in all ways, right? If you focus on the things that you have already and the things that you're grateful for, then you're going to attract even more things, to be grateful for in your life, right? So yeah, so definitely always focus on the things that you do want, right? And on the glass being, half full, as well, and that's why I love all the events, that you do on InterNations, Nadia, because they're all very positive, right? They're all very positive, and they give people happiness and joy, right? They give people happiness and joy, and they make people think about things in a different way, and yeah, it makes a difference, it really makes a big difference. So thank you so much for being my guest today, Nadia. It was really nice to have you here, and thanks for sharing your experiences and your journey, and I think it really helps anybody that's going through a breakup or a divorce right now. It helps to hear, that you will get through this. There is light at the end of the tunnel, even though you are going through a very difficult moment. But remember that you need to take care of yourself, right? You need to take care of yourself, and you need to be your own best friend, and you need to love yourself, and treasure yourself and cherish yourself, right? While you're going through this, right? But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's love and light at the end of that tunnel.
No, absolutely. I just want to say everything you said is so true. But I just want to bear one more thing in mind.
Yeah,
Everything takes time.
of
Be
course.
patient.
Of
Because,
course. Yeah.
like I know when you're going through it, it feels just awful and like it's gonna go on forever. But with
Yeah.
time, you will heal. You
Yes.
will heal and you'll get over it and you'll become stronger. That was my own experience. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
I didn't wake up, it didn't take one day to get over it, but eventually I did. All the things
Yeah.
I worked through, the things that were upsetting me. You have to definitely, we all get upset and we need time to work through these things.
Yeah.
But with time, it's amazing. If you're
Yeah.
patient and give it time, it's amazing what you can do.
Definitely. I mean, time heals everything. And the thing is that there's no magical formula in terms of how much time you need, right? Because every person is different, and every situation is different, right? So yeah, there is no magical formula, but the key is to take it day by day, take it day by day, take it step by step, and surround yourself with groups of people or friends that will help you, get through it, right? Like, I think that that's really important as well. And of course, if you need to talk to a therapist or a coach or whoever you need to talk to, as well, right? Because I think that, yeah, it's time, yeah, time and patience, right? And being really compassionate with yourself, right? And being kind to yourself, right? And the last thing, don't beat yourself up for all the mistakes that you feel that you made, right? And I think that it's really important to forgive yourself. You need to forgive yourself, you need to forgive your partner, you need to forgive, everything that happened, right? But many times the most difficult person to forgive many times is yourself, right? And that's the most important person that you need to forgive, as well, right? There's a very powerful meditation that I've done in many of my courses and workshops, and it's very simple. Like, all it is, you close your eyes and you can put your hand, on your heart, and you just say, I forgive you, or you can visualize your partner and say, I forgive you. And then there's a very powerful Hawaiian forgiveness meditation that's called Ho'oponopono. And in Ho'oponopono, you repeat four things over and over, and it's I forgive you, it's thank you, I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry, right? Those are the four things, right? And you repeat this over and over again, and it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly powerful because you can do it thinking about yourself, and you can do it thinking about your partner, or your ex-partner, or anybody that you want to forgive, for that matter, right? So yeah, so love and compassion for yourself and forgiveness is so important whenever you're going through any kind of, breakup, or divorce. So thank you so much, Nadia, once again, and keep on giving all your amazing, events on InterNations. And thank you so much to everybody, for joining us today. I hope you find this useful, and if you're going through a breakup or a divorce, just remember to take care of yourself in the process. Fill yourself with love and compassion, and patience, and forgiveness. And remember that you will get through it. You will get to the other side, of everything. And there's always love and light, at the end of the tunnel. So yeah, there's always love and light at the end of the tunnel, bright lights. So don't forget to subscribe, and give us some likes and comments, and share with your family and your friends. And don't forget to tune in, every Friday. I have a new interview out, and where I interview, amazing people around the world with great tips on, waking up to your true potential, and living a better life. So for now, stay well, stay happy and positive, and I'll see you soon. Bye.